don't wait, don't wait.
Don't wait.
Oh yeah, don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait till I die.
Don't wait, yeah.
Don't wait.
Don't wait, my brother, don't wait.
Don't wait.
My sister, don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait till I
I'm in the hospital, don't wait.
Don't wait.
I'm dying, don't wait.
Don't wait.
I need your help, don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait till I die.
Please help me, don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait, don't wait, don't wait.
Don't wait.
I need you help me now,
Don't wait. Don't wait till I die.
Don't wait till I die before you help me. If you want to help me right now. Don't wait, oh sister, don't wait. I said don't wait, my brethren, don't wait. Don't wait till I die before you help me. I need your help. Help me right now. I'm in the hospital, lying on my sick bed. I just need you to help me one more life, and Jehovah will bless you. Don't wait till I die to rain cast and get my body to the grave. I said don't wait when I die before you praise me. Don't wait when I die to cry for me, man. Oh, don't wait when I die to post my photo. This woman was so sick, she was saying got a point of day. I said she went from place to place, but she could not get the treatment she needed. Finally, her son took her to the hospital. And the doctor said they should bring 5 pounds of blood. But this woman could not afford the money. Oh yeah, giving her son could not afford the money. He left the mother at the hospital. He went to family member. He went to Uncle Johnny place. He said, Uncle, my mother is at you. I left my mother at the hospital. And the doctor said, we should bring 5 pounds of blood. Uncle, please help my mother. Uncle, help my mother. Uncle, I beg you, help my mother. Please help my mother. Oh, Uncle, help her before she dies. Johnny looked in her face. He said, my son, I don't have no money, oh. My son, no money, oh. What tell your mama say? I don't have no money, oh. I will see what to do. But next week, my son, no money, oh. He went to Auntie Asta's place. He said, Auntie, my mother is dying. I left my mother at the hospital, and the doctor said we should bring 5 pounds of blood. I have come to beg you, Auntie, help my mother. Auntie, please help my mother. Oh, Auntie, help her before she died. Yes, I woke up, entered the house. She brought 500 from her money. She said, my son, I wish you well. I wish you well. Go tell your mama, say, I wish her well. He left, he went to Uncle Bob's place. Papa was so rich. He was rich. He had everything to his disposal. He said, Uncle, my mother is on you. I left my mother at the hospital. And the doctor said, we should bring Papa on the floor. Uncle, please, don't allow my mother to die. Uncle, please, don't allow mama to die. Oh. You are my last hope, my last strength, my last hope. Uncle, please, don't allow mama to die. First to die, you look in your ear. He looked at the boy. He shrugged his head. He said, my son, I don't have money. You. I'm getting my salary by next month, oh, my son. I don't have money. You. Go tell your mama, say, I bet you up on condition. The boy left. He started crying. He said, oh God, Papa God, this life is not fair. What will not become of my mother? Who would I call my mother? Before he reached out the hospital, his mother was gone. He took his phone. He started calling Uncle Paul. He was crying, Uncle Paul, Mama is no more. Mama is gone, and left alone. Mama is gone, no. Oh, Uncle Paul, Mama is no more. He said, sorry, my son, don't worry. I'm sending her to take her to the funeral. Don't worry, my son, I'm responsible for her funeral. My son, don't worry, I'm responsible for wakekeeping. Oh, my son, keep courage, don't worry. Esther said, I will do the dressing. And then Johnny said, I will do the rain. Oh, don't wait. 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 Don't wait till I die.
Ugonoto mosamafa, utomaka samafa. Kekpe yenyuku kevete, kekpe yenyuku kevete, kekpe yenyuku kevete. Enfant kuma samafa, c'est mon fana golasa.
Boom, hallelujah.
Ibya mama non
Mama, boom, hallelujah.
Yeah, the life we living, people don't help. The only way they help when you are dead. And they will post the photos on Facebook. Mama was so good. Papa was so good.
Good evening.
Mama,
welcome
Mama,
to the show.
Mama,
rest in
peace.
On the Republic Radio and Lpr-Tv.
Aunties are on the street.
Don't wait.
Selling better ball.
Oh, yeah.
They are on the street. Selling pepper. You don't have time to help them.
Welcome, Mr.
When they
Tony.
pour you inside me, she inside. But by the time she died, you will do the expense. I'm in the hospital, don't wait. I'm dying, don't wait. I need your help, don't wait. Don't wait till I die. You got to remember this one, my brother. You have another.
Welcome to the show.
She just suffering. Sending for water in red light.
Oh, yes, that's a beautiful song there. Don't wait, because sometimes delays are dangerous. It doesn't end out right. So we want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. This is the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. I am your host, presenter, Alfonso and so, and hopefully the analysts, the panelists, whatever we call them, the pundit, they will be here for us to have a conversation here this evening. We will be having a wide range of conversations. We're going to look at some other issues, and hopefully, politics are usually it's always part of it. But let's see here what are we going to change the story here this evening. Welcome to the show. Okay, I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome our viewers and right here this evening. Today is Tuesday, and we want to welcome all of you. As usual, we're going to be here to have a conversation here. Hopefully, the panelists are going to be here, and we're going to have a wide range of conversation here. Let's see. Let's pick some unknown, let's give the audience maybe a different taste. Yeah, even though we know politics is has predominantly taken control of our life, but we also have the ability to drive varieties of narrative in our conversations, so many of which are also part of what is happening in Liberia and other parts of the world. Let's take a quick rendezvous on some of the news making headlines from major news, cable news outlet. And so you can get a taste here. According to France 24, 46 Ivorian soldiers pardoned by the junta in Mali. There was a high tension in there. There were some Ivorians soldiers arrested a couple of months ago. Now, clemency is being granted to them, so the Malian has let them go. And part of that is to build the relationship. More than 30 dead, of course. This has been around for a little while now. And, in the boss coalitions in central Senegal. Let's see here. All right, Charles say it foils destabilizations bits of officers. I mean, it is the whole war is just so much engulfed with a lot of troubled challenges, and it's just all over the place. We're going to have a conversation. We intend to open the line here. We are in an open mic conversation. So we intend to open the microphone here as soon as possible in the early time this evening to allow our viewers, our audience to also contribute, because sometimes some of the conversation, not that it's not important, but there are some that they also want to have their say in the political discourse or the conversation that is being out there. So we want to also open the microphone here where the phone lines where they can call in to be able to make their contributions or suggestions or how they feel about their country. I think it is important that we do that as well. We need to kind of empower people to be part of this conversation. Mr. Joseph Barclay, Mr. Tawayo Sons, Zia, Joshua, and all of you great guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here this evening, this morning, afternoon, depending your location. We always need your suggestions, your views and opinion. Feel free, as long as it's been expressed in the civil context, you can disagree with us here and tell us, hey, you are heading ahead of a shadow. I just do not agree with you. This talking point doesn't sound right to me. As long as it's in a sort of a civil context, of course, you can express your views, your opinions about ours, things that we do here as well. So we should be held accountable. Just how ordinary Liberian politicians, actors, state actors, we as those, for us who propagate the news, we also must be held accountable on things that we say. So you are at liberty to express your view. We want that. We can hold other people accountable, and then we want to be excluded out of the process. Then that is just not fair. It doesn't go that way. So sometimes we say things here that doesn't favor you, But the good thing about you and your commitment is, yes, still, you here, you come out, we slam, we badge, we do some name callings. That is not still appropriate to you, but yet and still, you still keep hanging in there and you come back is simply because I guess you put the interest of the country first, and that's why all of us we should be doing and we should take into consideration. So the counter meet has been going on for a while now. Let us get into some sort of social or other things that brings Liberian together. Why if we are unifying when it comes to counter support me, the lawmaker who are not speaking, the local leaders who are not doing things in common, but when it comes to counter meet, they are they kind of share notes. They hang out together. So why is it not happening? So we want to give a conversation to the good side of the county meet and maybe what can be the recommendation. Another thing is this full aspect here. I saw the Fulani brother to work out what about protest demonstrating. What can we do as a people, as a nation? If we were to say, let's Liberians in the diaspora having all Liberian conference, I'm not sure why we're not even doing that. That's something we should be thinking about to do all Liberian conference in the diaspora and see what sort of recommendation that we can put forward to national government in terms of our participations, involvement, inclusion into what is happening in Liberia. I think that's something we should do. We need to talk to people, let have that conversation. All Liberian conference in the diaspora, Liberian roles into post-war Liberia. We're still going through that process. And let's see what a message we want to send to national government. Except only this one here, all parties are represented. If something of such to come, or all parties, non-position, imposition, opposition, independence, if they are NNT, the liberals and all of that, that's something I think we need to do. And have a full representations and see some of these burning issues, things that we can come to arrive at as Liberians in the diaspora, be it in Europe, Asia, and say, hey, this is what we want our national government to do. This is what we can do. I think when we begin to have this sort of conversation too, that will open the corridor, it will open the room for real national conversations, and the government will also say, wait a minute, there are people there, they want to get involved. And this is their position statement. This is their request. This is what they are asking their government to do. And let's wait and see what other government will act. We should not be judgmental. I don't know why it came from. It just popped through my head. But I think that's something we can do ahead of this presidential election. That's another way of creating an awareness of our people to get involved and forget about whatever. Oh, the government will say this, the government will not do it. When we say that, no, let's not be create a sort of preemptive scenario. Why can't we have all Liberian conference to talk about the future of our countries and express our dissatisfaction, our agreements, and where we're going to draw the fine lines and ask our government to have this conversation? So this Boyka, Kumi, Nyombli, Delon, Sir Joseph, this and that, I think sometimes we need to just forget about it. Let's have a just natural conversation. Why is Afonso he is why he is, and he can't draw reasoning, he doesn't listen to other people. Why Jennington is just Jennington in his own world, and Amos Joyce is just Amos Joyce in his own world. And you, even as a Liberian, I mean, what is your own involvement in the country? Forget about what the government or who will listen to you. You got to make your presence felt. So I think we're going to open the lines on here tonight and allow our folks to have this sort of conversation here with us and let them speak their free mind. What are your seditions, your Liberty partisans, your ANC, your ALP? It doesn't matter. I don't care. You don't even need to establish your political identity. But what you think we in the diaspora, how can we really get involved? I'm not saying that getting involved where names callings are involved, where somebody not going to be listened to. Jonathan Dulake is a senior contributor to the Liberia Public Radios. He's already joining us here from California. let's see here. We'll try to change the narrative here this evening, and hopefully they will be in the call with me for us. We're about to do that. Okay, Mr. Dolake, Jonathan, good evening.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Soul, and good
So,
evening to our audience too, who are constantly following us.
okay. Culture, for some reason, I'm not seeing you here, so just check your system and see whether you can come back. Look, something just clicked in my head. I don't know where the heck it came from, but I just feel that we need to change conversation at times to bring people, because then not everybody, people are also sick and tired of politics now because the manner in which the politics is being conducted. So other people want to hear other things, and I'm working aggressively to have people in the and for those of you that follow us, if you are an expert or to vast knowledge in mental health, different professional stuff, just let us know. You know, we can have this sort of national conversation. But Jonathan, I'm just let's look at a sport, the county sport meet. Sport is one of the most unified in any society. If I never even used to talk to you before, but for some reason, we are from the same county. It doesn't matter. I think that's the only thing that caught between the lines and bring politicians, people with different political views, bring them together. Because we all go in out there as a Grandidians, as a Nimayans, as a Sanonians, Bazolians. We all, whether that one, no CDC, no LPP, no big group, Liberty Party group, no. Everybody goes out there to clap and cheer their county to victory. Let's talk about this sport. What is the good side of this county meet? What are we really learning from it? And yes, let's start the base. Let's start the conversation here. County meet. It's been going on for quite a while now. Is it good?
Yes, the counter meet is quite a good activity for the country. Given where we came from, we know it started way back. I think, from what I can recall, the Dole era that I saw some, and that of the Madame Sally era and President Weah tenure. It is quite a spirited moment, especially given our crisis that we were separated not just by regions and counties based on the conflict, but we were separated also by tribal alignment. And seeing that each of the tribes, each of the county are being celebrated by all of the tribes that make up that county in wholesome, it demonstrates clearly that when we grow our sport to a certain level, it can intervene in our reconciliatory process of our country. And the same spirit that we used to celebrate for Grandidet, for Nimba, for Basso, as you were listing them, is the same spirit we used to celebrate for Liberia on our sportsmanship. And so it is very important, and it brings me to the point of your conversation about the Liberian and all Liberian conference that can be instituted to bring all political parties, all religious groups, all tribal groups, all civil society under one umbrella, young people, elderly, to talk about the issue that are confronting our country and what plans can we put into place, short-term, medium-term, long-term plans in order to tackle the obstacles that we have. I think it's a good calling, to drive away from the politics a little bit. But again, it also brings politics in when the leader needs to have the political will to execute all of those dreams, aspiration, innovation, creativity that people from different walks of life will put together. The 1999 conference, I think it was 1999, on a chart sitter, we still yet to find out what was the All Liberian Conference meant for, what was the impact, how did it succeed. The 2018 or 19 conference economic forum held by President Weah, we are still yet to understand how did it impact all, what were the resolutions,
Okay, can we have this conference or whatever stay here, like I was talking about diaspora, excluding politicians, actors, where ordinary Liberians can make their voices heard and come up with some sort of a put forward recommendations, a solution to the national government? Because one of the reasons, and you're going to come into that, get into the goals of these conferences, politicians, political actors, stakeholders are involved. They are more or less they advance their own self agenda. Their political views is being embedded into the conversation. That makes it very difficult because it's like making way for their future. But I'm not contesting. You're not contesting for now, but I'm quite sure, I have no doubt, in a couple of years you will, because you are actively. But for now, let's hold everything constant and have this sort of conversation. Can we? Will we have the ability to put aside politics and just take a holistic approach about the country? Let me put this number out here because I want our folks to call in here tonight. What can we do, we as a Liberians in the diaspora? Even if you are in Liberia, you're willing to call, that is okay. It's available via WhatsApp as well. Are we doing enough in regards to our country? Let's just put aside government. Let's hold ourselves responsible with the patriotic mind that we have for the country. If we are patriotic, if we are even honest to our country, you can be an ordinary citizen, you can rob your country. All of these things, those are things that we have to undo as well. Go ahead.
Firstly, to think as to whether we have played or we have done sufficient or we need to do sufficient for our country, I think we'll be left with different school of thought to grade it. My perspective on it will be very clear. My perspective on it I will term it as somewhat on ordinary Liberians' part, be it those in the diaspora, those in Liberia, and I call it somewhat because the gavel of authority has always been in our hand. But on the larger scale, I think we have made some advances. We have some big book people can call it slack peccadillos, slack mistakes and frailties, errors in some areas. To be honest with you, we have been able to reconcile ourselves to a larger extent since the 2003 episode ended, the war ended 2003. We strive heavily to rely on leaders to chart the course of our country, both Liberians back home and Liberians here. Liberians here in particular, to them, I think they have done extremely well over the period of time since the civil unrest in our country, far back dated as the 1980 coup, the Nimba Ray, the Kuyongba coup, the 1989 civil crisis, the Lpr faction model, and all of those things. Liberians in the diaspora have supported their fellow Liberians heavily in refugee camps and have created the condition that Liberian refugees are an exceptional group of people as compared to other refugees around the world. So I think they have contributed immensely and they keep contributing and the national budget envelope with the level of remittances that have been provided. On the front of those back home, they are also contributed to be able to reconcile between amongst one another what are happening. And it has been a warlord faction can sit another, wrong government, and wrong functionary of the country. What I think has been lacking, despite all the innovation coming from different stratas of the Liberian community, I think it has just been because of the lack of leadership. And I think if leadership is enhanced.
Yeah. No, not to interrupt you. You say everything has been going right, but lack of leadership. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I first said that I will consider both Liberians, home and Liberia, a way that they are contributed somewhat. That may can be questionable. But on the other side, they have done their part. So you have been left with leadership mechanism to fill in that gap. They will not have a memory of the ugly past, will not have a memory of the most recent, and some of the challenges that we are facing and could be dealt with. Just before I close, Mr. So, I was in Nigeria 2004. From 2004 to 2024, which will be next year, is strictly 20 years. When I was in Nigeria, when I arrived in Nigeria 2004, the plane I arrived on, the Nigerian Murtala Mohammed Airport, had jet bridge that connects to the plane. That was 2004. When I was leaving from Lagos to go to Port Harcourt, which could be compared to a distance from Monrovia to maybe Abidjan, not even Maryland, you pass Maryland, go Abidjan. That kind of distance, I was sitting in an AC bus, well furnished, and I have my own air condition, like in a plane all by itself. And I had a conductor who were ladies dressed in white and a suit, white long sleeve shiny blouses. I mean, dressed up, knew herself on the ABC bus. Those is prestigious bus. But what I'm trying to communicate is that as of 2004, the two things that are listed, which I could do among many things, Liberian today have not been able to reach that 2004 destiny that Nigeria reached. We don't have jet bridge.
What is responsible for that?
It brings me to what I say, leadership. Leadership that is selfless. Leadership that you want to leave the mark of identity. Leadership that you want your family name to be engraved in the archive of history. That when this person was president, it didn't matter what tribe you came from, it didn't matter which religion you came from, what region you came from, as long as you put in more time, like Mr. Cummings will say, the more effort you put in the process, you'll benefit the more. Even if you don't have
to bring politics into the conversation, and I have to know politicians to talk to them and say, "Do not talk politics."
I have to reference my boss, but let me leave a name other A. Homeless children in this US, people will drive bus, station wagon or what have you, and carry a packet near the poor area, and they will come in right in Oakland. We see it. People go in there, they take bath, they take care of them, they serve them meal, they give them comforter, and they try to intervene, because if they do not intervene in whatever manner, those individuals will either be harm to society or harm to themselves.
So, talking about this leadership, have we done enough to have a lengthy conversations of people? Because leadership is something. It's not something that people can also practice. Oh, I will practice to be a leader. To be a leader, I'm not sure. Those are such skills and qualities that come with basic human values. Now, have we done enough on our part to say, okay, Alfonso, he can be a trusted leader. We can put him into this. We can put him in this place here. He can get X, Y, Z. Jennington, we know who he is. We have seen him in the community. We have seen him in our neighborhood. We saw him in the village. He thinks that he was thinking that he did. He seems to still be on course with those things here. Those things looks more like get the quality of a leader. Have we done enough on our part? Because while some of those people, they, good, kind, nice, seem trusted, but when they are giving authority, it becomes a different scenario. Have we done enough to study, to take a revision on that as well?
I think we all done. We all are trying to play our part one way or another. I must take this opportunity in this new year to also commend the LPR. Probably I may do it in passing. The time that we take every day, the innovation and creativity that you have brought to this platform, to have this as an additional job without pay against all the earnings of a family. in order to have a platform that Liberians leaders can come and have conversation about the country, is a tremendous effort in that said contribution. Our
Oh,
part here as members of political parties, we have been member of party, we deflected from party, we were always, alone and realign. But the beauty of it all is that whether we have done enough, I think we still need to do more. Whether we are critique those that we follow and they can fairly represent what the past, a present, and a future will look like. But I think we are all seeing they are exposed to us. We are questioning them and we're calling them. Mr. Stowe now, as he said in his labor state, is currently expecting Mr. Cummings in the not too distant future to cross-examine him. All we can do is to cross-examine them. We hope for the best. And we hope that past performance.
Senator,
Yeah.
I beg you tonight, please don't start trouble. Tonight, I mean, since yesterday, I've been, I beg you, the guy, you and the man, they are thing you're on. The liberal, how are you, Papa? Good evening, welcome. Tonight, please, I'm going to do my best to surrender and not to be whatever way you are, okay? I'm just trying to figure out how we can get Liberia going here this evening. So, tonight, I beg you, Papa, I'm buying the. Okay, I want us to have import way. Yeah, I beg you to know, I beg you. Good evening, welcome. Let's go to this caller here.
Good evening, Mr. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering here, what can we do as a people, as outside of our country? Do we need national conference? Put aside this party that. Let me go to this caller here. I want people to call in tonight here and then to participate. 612 number 3168. Good evening, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm Terry calling from Minnesota.
Hey, Terry. Good evening, my dear brother. How are you today? How's your day going?
Yeah, man, we had a good day.
Okay. So we saw on the social ETU county meet. Are you monitoring the county meet as well?
Well, I'm not really following, but I'm following. But when I mean I'm not really
the way you're
following,
talking there, they be your county.
my county is Montserrat, man.
Okay.
I'm from Maryland, but I support Montserrat.
Why?
Maryland don't have a good team, but you know, I've been supporting Montserrat for a long time. I grew up in Montserrat, even though I'm from Maryland.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that's all right. Yeah. Okay, but go ahead here. Do you think we as a Liberian, the diaspora, be it the USA, other part, are we doing enough for our country in terms of to unify, to unite the country, to make our presence come up with a holistic, some sort of approach to national government? Look, we are diaspora. This is what we want to see happening as well. We want to get involved. Are we doing enough of that, you think?
Well, I would say yes and no, but I would not want to dwell on just no, because Liberians contribute to the economy in different ways. All right. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we send over $300 million annually. You know, the country, from the diaspora Liberians alone, with their family, relatives, and all that, they send money regularly to Liberia, which also help the economy.
Right.
So, but when it comes to whether if we are doing enough, that is a critical question, because I think holistically we are not contributing enough. All right, we need to come together in the diaspora as Liberians. Since we've seen that the country has been struggling with leadership, we need to come together where we can put something down and say, I believe each Liberian in America, even if 20,000 Liberians will say, okay, we'll put $10 every month, all right, in a account offshore, and let that account build up for 2 to 3 years. And then we can use that money to build something in the country or invest into something that we know that is lacking. You know, I think that would be more helpful than by sending our individual relatives money indirectly or directly, which of course is not really having a greater impact on the economy. You know.
Okay, so guys, I'm gonna bring you in here. We want to do all Liberian affairs and then listen to them here. So, okay, Terry, let me just hold you there because maybe you might say something and somebody else will want to react to it. Let me go to this number here, 202, and please make it as brief as possibly as you can. Something that is of that really gonna have flesh on the bone. 203 number 9037. Caller, good evening. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Thank you, my great host. This is Wilton Keller, one of your panelists.
Mr. Keller, good evening. Yeah.
Thank you. The topic is very interesting, but I will take a different trend on this topic here. I mean, the question is, have we been doing enough? What can we do to improve the system? What have we done, right? Okay. The first thing we should recognize that all of our problems in Liberia started from the United States of America, from amongst Liberians. We should acknowledge that first. And for us to be able to fix our problem back home, we must change the way we think about our country, Liberia. We must think that that country, people there live there. They are human beings, regardless of their social status, regardless of whatever they are human beings. We should stop planning to do evil in our country, and at the end, we act that we're supporting our people. You cannot beat a man hurting up and you tell him when they get in, you say, go sword, go heal your wounds. You can't do that. Secondly, like the caller said, fortunately for me, I have just gotten inducted into Yola on the board of directors. So I have been talking this thing for a long time. Instead of us being advocate against government and supporting regime change in Liberia from the diaspora, we should be developmental partner to our government. Every government that come in. If Yola, which is the mother organization here, they hold a convention every year where we earmark a particular project around our nation. We can rally, we can collect money, and we can support projects in our country to elevate our people's lives, to change the lives of our people. Through daily schools, hospitals, agriculture, and everything. But we should stop supporting bad things to happen in our country, and then we start sending money to help our people. That is one of the things that's spoiling our nation.
All right, let me hold you there. After that, then I'll be going to my analyst. 443 number 0321. Caller, what's your good evening? What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, how you doing, Alfonso, and to your panelists? This is John Mawolo calling from Maryland.
Mr. Mawolo, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, listen, there is no way we can discuss the betterment of Liberia in the absence of politics. Everything we do is political. Everything. From the food we eat to the air we breathe is political. But one of the first ways we can start doing something about the problems we have is to retrain the press. The press in Liberia is one of the most incompetent groups ever. I mean, to call them press is a stretch to me. The press is supposed to be the guide. They should be the center point between the public and the politician. They're supposed to be doing the research and getting the truth out to the people, holding authorities' feet to the fire. No, but the press has relinquished their job to calling on political parties to do it. Political parties do it, it's called politics. When the press do it, it's called holding their feet to the fire. And that's what the press is not doing. The press is they're so poor that it's embarrassing. All of the misinformation, all of the misconception, everything that's wrong with that country is blamed on the press because they're not doing their job. If they start doing their job, it will re-educate the people on how to see things. When the people get re-educated on how to see things, the coming together will be easy. But everybody has taken their side. Whoever gave you money, you speak for that person. Whoever gave you, that's why you see these people country flourish. Because the press people, they got enough money, they need to kiss up to nobody. So when they go out there to work, they're looking in your eyeballs and telling you what you don't want to hear, and they don't care. You got nowhere to stop them. That's what the press should be. And when the press starts to live up to its vow of bringing news to the people, unfettered, unbiased news to the people, research news, not just talking street talk or tableau, but research.
Yeah, I love that word. I love that word, tableau.
If our job is to educate our people, that's the role of the press. So they depend on you. They don't have time to do the research. That's your job. Educate, educate, educate.
All right. Thank you so much. Caller, you just call. Please lower your monitor if you are listening. Just lower it after you go off. Then you can 301 number. Somebody, please lower your monitor. Somebody monitor is open. 301. Are you there? 301 number 777766. Are you there? Somebody monitor is open. 301. Are you there? Okay. All right. Tarek and Keta, before I go to my analyst, 30 seconds each. Is there any other thing you want to add before I go back to my guys?
Yeah, Mr. Stowe, like the caller that came on after me said something about, said something about
the press.
The problem, no, not the press, but the problem that Liberia had came from America, which of course I would not want to fully agree with him on that note. All right. Liberians, I think also we can help Liberia by being genuine politicians. Most of the politicians who come from here to go to Liberia, they only want jobs. They only want for the Liberian people to vote them into power, but they don't want to do anything for the Liberians. All right. And a typical example to that is Mr. Cummings. All right. And all of that.
Keeping time with our 30 seconds, I'm going to be straight here that some of the changes we're going to be coming on, we're going to be doing here to make our country better. So go ahead quickly and finish your.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah. No, Terry, just conclude quickly. Yeah, 301.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, Mr. So that is what I'm saying. Like you see, Mr. Cummings, he, and all those guys are wanting to be president in the country. They come from the diaspora and go to Liberia. Most of the people who get jobs from here.
Thank you so much, Terry.
People like Elling and all that. Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much. If there's anything you still are liberty to call back, thank you so much. 203 number, 30 seconds, and then I go to 301, and I go back to my great people here tonight. I've surrendered, so my guess here, peace will be maintained. Go ahead, 201, Taketa, our own man.
Yeah, like I said, I think as Liberian in the diaspora, what for America or Europe or wherever, it is incumbent on us to do the best for our country, not to do the worst. We cannot destroy our nation and then we think that by sending money to our individual family, they were doing something good for our country. I think we should be developmental oriented, try to develop our counties, our cities, and around the country, than to get involved in politics and destroy our nation.
Thank you so much.
That way I think.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, the guys, everybody seems to be in full comment. Mr. Goyot, Pa George, thank you so much. We try to change the landscape here this evening here. In our own world, what ideas can be some sort of magical operation to be executed and see we can find our right voice, our tones, our path in fixing Liberia. We in the diaspora, and can we do have an all-Liberian conference outside of politics and say this is our recommendation here. You heard some of the callers here. Let's see. Let me just pull out here where Mr. Roosevelt Henderson is saying. He said, yeah. So he was in the call with Mr. Maulo. Our press is compromised. No research. Some of them go by, they say. This number keep calling, but I don't know why is that. Okay, call out. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is William Glay. I'm calling from Maryland.
Oh, the Honorable William K. Glay.
Yeah.
Former representative of Grand Jida County, Republic of Liberia. Happy, belated birthday, right? You just celebrated your birthday?
Somebody put out
Senator Kennedy for ANC.
Former who?
Huh?
Somebody say
Senator Kennedy for ANC.
That's true.
Okay. All right. Okay, Honorable Glay, good evening. Welcome.
Now, do the people work?
Okay, I want to tell you people thank you the way you're having Liberia. You know, when I was in the house, the thing that we do, I don't see it this time. The representative senator had to go out and bring investor. There's a bill we passed. When businessman come after 48-mile radius, he had duty free. He got tax exempt. You know, our representative senator had to go out because there are business people who benefited from Liberia. You can use the same thing to come and carry the poor back to Liberia. You know, one speech I gave one time. I said, who know you? I'm living now on who know they call it networking. You know, when I was in Monrovia, before I arrived in Monrovia, people came to work on me. First they asked me to run. I went to London petitioned me, London petitioned me to run. I came to the state. They petitioned me to go run. When I arrived to the airport, people were packed. I took 6 hours to reach in town. The next day, the people went to court and sue me. They say I'm not a citizen of Liberia.
Oh.
I hired Francis Johnson Moyer to be my lawyer. We went to court. They kept photocopy of my American passport. They brought my property deed in Monrovia and the property deed in Grand Jida. The judge said the man is a citizen. They took a appeal to Supreme Court. The president asked me, sent for me. They said, Honorable Glay, lead this thing here. Grand Jida, you help the people there. But this election are your own thing. So don't take no appeal or leave it. Our representative and senator have to help our own people. Even you talk about having conference here, no. If you leave from here, you go to Liberia, those are empowered, they're against you. Only very few people. Look, I went to Liberia, I had to send the city mayor for Buffalo to the States as a city mayor. We met some people here, she got contribution. Pinsville got contribution. Those counties can't do it. They don't have, they can't travel. They can't have their own people from their county. Do you know how multilateral went to Dreadlu? When we were working there, the United Nations one population. It was the multilateral supposed to go to Sando. So our population increased more than Sando. That was okay, multilateral to Dreadlu. That Lofa and Dreadlu got the multilateral. I think if we're in the press people, you got to help and talk to our leader. And when they win the election, they forget about their own people. They can't go out of the country. When they come here, they can't meet the citizens. Here, they're against you. So I think to carry development to Liberia, though the city mayor, the representative, the senator, and the superintendent, they can come here and meet the governor and meet sister-city relationship. But our people, they don't know it. When you leave from here, you told that when you go to Liberia, the people will be against you. crampy, you crampy way. They can sue me. They can sue you too.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Let me
Yeah.
go. Thank you so much for chipping in here with us this evening. Okay, Ty, guys, let me hear from you, Ty, gentlemen. It's quite interesting that you know. I couldn't ask the honorable man how they manage to get a passport. So the people get a network. Oh, a little will start trouble here this evening. We'll start trouble here this evening. 774 number, Ty. Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. Soul, this is Mr. Dwala calling right here near Providence, not too far away from you.
Yeah, the man now hoy until your time. But anyway, he always like to come by phone. Dwala, what's up, my man? How are you?
Okay, I got a not too bad. Thank you so much. I got a major issue with some of the callers always trying to put the burden on the people of the republic. Now, I am not naive. There is some responsibility that will fall on the people, but Liberia's issue is not majority of the people. Liberia only has one problem. There's a singular problem in that country. It's the refusal for the leadership to enforce the laws of our country. A lot of good things can happen in Liberia today if we decided to enforce the law. All the other things you're talking about, they can take care of themselves. I do understand sometimes the way our people vote. I get it. But once we have the leadership, we have refused to hold our leaders to account. And we expect miracle to happen. Listen, God will not descend from the heavens and change anything in Liberia. We have to push that these people that are empowered to do the jobs that they swore an oath to do to the Republic of Liberia. This is their responsibility. We have to push them. It is not starting war. It is not starting chaos. True citizenship is pushing your representatives to follow the Constitution as mandated. This is not optional. If you don't want to do it, leave the government to space. Our problem, it's a lack of law enforcement in that country and not the people. Thank you so much, Mr.
Yeah, so hold on one second. Do you still have a little time there? Because
Yeah, I have time.
yeah, okay. I've seen some cheering out here from my panelists, and they're going to be having their own reaction to that comment as well. Well, do we need to conduct or have a symposiums or workshop to tell people to identify, to give some of these elements, what constitutes who should be a leader? Is that what we need to do? Because for
Mr. So, I'm raising a lot of papers. I want you, when you get off the phone today, I want you to Google a guide to picking Liberia's next leader, next president. What it takes for a person to become a leader in Liberia. I give you a step-by-step guide. I can send you the link. In fact, only a link. I just published a paper this weekend. It's called "A Case Against President Weah's Re-Election." People may call it political, but listen, we have to push the issue in Liberia if you want things to change. If you want, Google the paper, read for yourselves what it takes to become a leader to be able to deliver in that society. But we just take any flakaji and we'll make them representative. We are taking liquid and bottom feeders to govern us. And we expect the results of diligence, of prudence. It doesn't work that way, Mr. Soul.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I will text you my email, but I will also search that here. Okay, let's come back to the panelists to also get their input here. The Liberal.
Yeah, Mr. So, thank you.
I think folks are opening up. We'll try to change the narrative of the conversation here tonight, and people are opening up the seed such a conversation to be in their comfort zone and stuff like that. Let me hear from you.
Thank you very much. I've been listening for quite a while, and everything that you stated and been talking about, and audience have also chipped in. They're all in place. But let me just say this here without blowing my own horn. I've been around very long time. I've been with the Liberians gathering here since 1980 here in the United States. I've been around. We went to many ULAP conferences. We've been around with all Liberian conference and everything else. People Liberians from Liberia, the Dr. Tipote, Dr. Sawyer. The only person who have not traveled on these type of conferences is only Dr. By my family. And every one of those people do amazing. Everyone they have traveled to these conferences from time to time. and to chip in. Now, Mr. Soul, the issue, first, let me address this issue with this all Liberian conference that you're suggesting. We've had that before. But then again, young Liberians today are sophisticated. I've always saying that. And I'm very proud. Many of them, they got here at a very young age, of course. But when they got here, they didn't do like what some of us did. Because, for example, I got here, my school fee was paid. I went and collected my school fee, bought myself a car, and started going from state to play football. I did that for years until something hit my head and said, well, you got to do something now. So, but many of these young people, they come in, the first thing they want to do is educate themselves. They have very, very huge potential. The problem is trust. They themselves, having had these good achievements, they put themselves together. And one of the dangerous part of it, if they are not ahead of any organization they are part of, they don't want to be. And if they are, they will try to do everything to sabotage the leadership of that organization that they themselves are part of. And we see it in other many Liberian organizations. They steal from these people, and the people don't trust them. Let's go back to Liberia, Mr. So. The issue, I agree with Dwalo, the leadership. But how do we get our brothers and sisters back in Liberia to understand the importance of electing people who will avail themselves, who will allow themselves to be accountable to the Liberian people? They brought in all kinds of folks. Madam Sally came in, and I've been on this here without bashing anybody, but she failed to put in structure that will help us. Because when Madam Sally came in, she came, from my perspective, she has the most of all of the presidencies, as far as I'm concerned, since Jenkins Roberts' time. She has the most opportunity to fix Liberia the way it's supposed to be, because she have experienced the past, and she have experienced the war. And when she came in, Liberians were willing to listen, but they didn't do that. If you remember John Monu, what some kind of position he had, and he told Madam Sally, and he said, your government is the most corrupt government. Then they even they passed whatever you want, a transitional government. And that was true. Look how much people went to Liberia, young people went to Liberia to steal and come back here in the United States to build and put themselves in a position that, of course, they will not suffer in the future. What happened to their brothers and sisters? We are not patriotic at all. We are just here, Mr. So, and I had to say that perhaps myself fall in the same position. We are here to go when you get called right now. Some of the organizations, they go in to want to be this and be that just so that it will be noticed back home and get called for position. And when they're given these positions, what do? They steal. Sad.
All right.
Very sad.
All right. Let's keep it succinct. Short here this evening, and no spoiler story. Mr. Goya.
Yes, sir.
You don't very suddenly you cheer people out, give them the club. Simply, probably they are speaking to the basis of the issues needs that people need to talk about. When Dwala was speaking, I saw you giving a hand clap, which signifies, yes, he's hitting the points. Yes, this is what I want to hear. Let's get your side of the search. Why you in a call with Dwalo?
So first of all, I am about 99.9% in agreement with Dwalo. And by the way, Dwalo, I just Googled the case against President Weah's re-election. I have it up here and I'm looking at it. By the way, it does look scholarly. So hats off to you, my brother. That speaks to what Mr. Deliberate is speaking about, the Liberians, we don't lack for talent. So hats off to you. Now, I was listening, and this whole talk around the development of Liberia looking like it is the priority and the sole prerogative of individual Liberians living in the diaspora is laughable. And I think it excuses bad behaviors in Liberia. I don't collect taxes for Liberia. Liberia has resources. So why am I, Sisi Goya, supposed to go to work here and let American children scream me throughout the day while I'm trying to teach them math and come home and take bread from the table instead of creating a future here for my children here and my family? I take that bread and send it to Liberia to develop Liberia. How, where does that make sense? In what country does that make sense? I don't understand that. And you know, I hope my brother Wood Keto was still on, because I'm going to talk to him about EULA. You know, when we treat organizations and our constitution like things we expect to be in there without looking at what actually is there, we treat the ought to be. EULA, and by the way, full disclosure, I'm the most current past Assistant Secretary General for Press and Propaganda for EULA. The current administration office, I was the chief spokesman for their campaign. So I've been in EULA for a long time, and OLM, the organization that I'm a board member of in Minnesota, is the home that we hold the registration for EULA, and we are the most members of EULA in membership. EULA's foundation, EULA's framework, EULA's vision is within America. It was not about like going to Liberia to develop anything. So that is why you find that EULA has to create split-offs if they're going to do stuff in Liberia. EULA at one point was planning on building a school in Liberia. Look, let's think about these things. Say EULA go and builds a school. Who do you give it to? You turn it over to the government? Do you pay for the teachers that will be in there, or will EULA continue to generate money to pay for those teachers? Does it become a public school? If it does, who appoints the principal? Who deals with leadership? Who deals with the issue of human resources? We have to be very serious here. I get it that we do have to invest in our country. But if I'm speaking as an investor, there are certain things I need to check to make sure they're available in order for me to take my family's money to invest it anywhere, whether it's Liberia, whether it's right here on Wall Street, where I buy shares. I look at the company, I look at where the company is at, I look at the leadership of the company in order for me to put my money in it. You really telling me that I, right now, with the current situation, even Ellington, will go and say I will take money from my retirement, or I will like how people do take second mortgages on their homes and go and invest in a place where security is lacking, where accountability is lacking, where there are a lot of bottlenecks in how you register businesses. And it's not just with the We Are government, by the way. This happened early time too. So we got to be very serious when we're telling people. I say, so people just expect that somebody will get up here every day and go work for their money and take their money because I'm Liberian and I'm patriotic. I'm going to just blindly take my money and go invest it in Liberia when I know there's a high probability that I'll get zero return on it. Who does that? So sometimes it really puzzles me when people talk about, you know, we send money home. Let's build this thing and let's stop talking about government doing wrong. Even in this country where the people are very patriotic, even with the Israelis that are very patriotic, you find Israeli citizens that are for two-state solutions. You find Israeli citizens that go against the central government for the way they treat the Palestinians. So having a diversity of opinion and people agreeing with the government, I don't think it's a bad thing. I've never understood why people think when you're in the diaspora, you're not supposed to speak against government. What we can talk about is that you don't talk about propagating change through force. But I, as a Liberian, I have the right to speak against the government if I feel that the government is not doing right. Not because I'm in the diaspora, so I should be quiet. And the last thing, then I'll be quiet because there's a lot of things I will say here. The issue of the press in Liberia being politicized and they're not like here in America. You know, sometimes when we talk, we got to really check the things. Here in America, the press is free, but the press is just politicized and tribalized along political ideologies, just like it is in Liberia.
Divisive, falsehoods.
When I get on Fox News, you know what I see there. When I get on Newsmax, you know what I see there. When I get on the OAN, the new American network, the all American network. Do you know what I see there? When I get on MSNBC, do you know what I see there? So let's stop pretending that we don't live in this country. Okay, this country has the press, and the press is just as tribalized, except along political ideologies. That's why you get conservatives will go to conservative network where the idea is spun in the way that is palatable to them, and you get liberals and you that go to this liberal network. There are very few people that try to seek out independent press that is very small, but the vast market of press in America is divided along political lines. It's divided along political ideologies. So I don't know where we come from to this and say, oh yeah, America, you know, it doesn't. That we had journalists here that lie, say they wrote books that they didn't write. We have
we're in the what is wars here? Brian William, they were caught in crossfire.
Right, and in this country we had CNN, the guy defending his brother who was a governor who was caught in problems. So we shouldn't pretend, my people. The idea of a press taking side is not unique to Liberia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's give a break. Amos George. Amos, George, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. We're hearing you now. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. You still have your microphone.
You turn it off.
I saw that man living. Look at him. He read
your mic off.
You see what this guy is doing. All the way
I think he and Jonathan switched phone today. He get a Coca-Cola phone today.
Is it? Can you hear me now? No. I'm using that different equipment I'm using. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Hearing you. Go ahead.
These aspects that I continue. Yeah, these aspects that I continue to frown on. People think that we are the one to develop Liberia. And people in the diary, they weren't supposed to develop Liberia, as sister. Nobody pay tax in Liberia. Government collect taxes from us. All they need to do is to put in policy that will encourage everybody to compete. But one day, then you can support us, say, oh, the people in the diaspora, they're not doing anything. What do people want to do as an individual? If that is the case, then move the government and say, okay, the people from the diaspora, your foreign government can't say that. This is a very serious thing. And this is a pushing in Liberia. And to many of our brothers and sisters, they tend to, we don't care for them. We are only going there to seek to buy ourselves. That is a notion that they're trying to create among the people in Liberia, that the people in the diaspora only come here to grab. They are not care about concern. No. The government is the one that's supposed to create the avenue for everybody to compete. Look at, for instance, you take rice and give to 5 people in Liberia, business people. Say you're the one guy that managed to bring in rice. You take Henneken and give to one Lebanese man. Say you're the only person who bring Henneken in this country here. Okay. What about the 4.7 million Liberians? Are you seeing that nobody can get money to carry any of the goods in Liberia? But you take and give to a few people. Because why? They're getting kickback from these people. Because they know if you come to me, I'll tell you, say, hey, I'm not doing it because of my money. So, but these people, they are the one who agree to give them a kickback. So they give them the lucrative contracts in Liberia. Lebanese, Indian, and Fulanese. I'm not against it, but that is the reality in time. Then they expect us to say, people in America, they help the country. How can we help the country? What is the security? As I said it down here, somebody want.
No, go ahead. I'm just trying to know.
Took their equipment. So the person contacted me and said, hey, you know what happened? You can't do anything like after the election because the security situation, especially law enforcement, the criminal justice system are problematic in Liberia because people expect the court to function normally, that if you carry a case that you have redress. But if the court is interpreting the law and the executive is not enforcing the law, These are things that will not get investors guaranteed that if I offend me, that I will seek redress. They cannot go there. You have to set these things in place. And who's supposed to set it in place? It's the government. So this should leave it and let focus on government. Let hold the people have elected and trust with power to be accountable to the people. Set in policy that will encourage foreign investors or other citizens in the economy. Let me just close on something extra. And as well, these are some of the same things we continue to talk. And I'm going back to my home. I read an article in the paper today. Senator Henry Topa is saying that he may not support the CDC because CDC, they have failed to give people a bone kind of job. Now listen to that kind of crap there. The thing I always say, you didn't join a political party. You didn't support them. They win. Then you said they must give you job. He's talking about why they have left permanent citizens from Bonga. The government have not given them a job. But by the way, you've been saying that all year because election coming out and you want to prove to the people that you're concerned about them. These are the kind of argument I hear about the people from them. But these are the same people causing trouble in the country with the kind of argument. Everybody have to right to associate with a political party. If I didn't join the political party, why should I expect something from them? You're not a Republican. You didn't support them. But you said they might give you a job.
Yeah, the thing is the same thing. Very suddenly, so you only maybe Barack Obama broke that one. Team, when he said Robert, this guy, the defense chief of defense staff,
Gates.
But he also maintained the ambassador to China, the former.
Yes, he even maintained something. But what I'm saying is these are the people that destroy the country. These kind of thing.
All right, so okay, let's have a
conversation. My point is, you've been sitting there now for how many years now? Almost 3-4 years. You are not echo anything. Election coming out that when you come to talk about, we are government has not giving people a job. But are the people member of CDC? The people elected as an independent. Is that what you carry your mouth? So, but I just throw that one to side people. These are the things that happen in that country that creating all the talk we're hearing from people that we are the ones supposed to do everything in Liberia. The only thing I can say is have the right to talk. I will not support any insurrection in Liberia. That I'm against. Anything that will have to do with force to take over government, I will not support it. But you cannot tell me because I'm in America, I'm not contributing towards the law. I cannot talk. No.
All right. Okay, again, we want to welcome our viewers and listeners. And once we notice everyone so much important here, their time, the company with us, Mr. Manwolo to Mulbite to Washington from Mount Barclay, Painesville. Thank you guys for the information. And the reason, again, I acknowledge all of you here, what are in the diaspora, but for someone to be in Liberia by this time here, if you look at the time, maybe 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock now, I think it's a 5 hours listening. This is it shows that people in Liberia, our brothers and sisters in Liberia, are also looking for alternative. And but the media nowadays, and Mr. Mango, the media in this country, is horrible. It creates chaos. The fake news, the innuendos, the falsehood, the subliminal messages, everything is this land is the land for it. So Liberia is something. Manolo, thank you so much for your time, for joining us here. We really appreciate that. We get a way of doing our own donation here. If you can just throw your number out here, I would see what we can do to your mobile as well for just being part of a listener. If you put your phone number out here, or you can inbox LIB Messenger or any of the.
Let him inbox you before everybody be having your phone number. I said, let him inbox you before everybody be having your phone number when you put it in the chat.
Put it there before some. Let him inbox you. You should not put it out there.
Yeah, so just you can search for Alfonso So, for LIB Messenger, so we can put it. But okay, guys, this here, it's a volatile situation though. The society, like in the words of the liberal, he's involved.
People can Yeah, people
Society
can take
is
it kind of
involved as
raspy.
well. The society is involved as well. But the kind of conversations, except that is being kept on the net nowadays, the divisiveness of the politics, everybody try to give justification back their own little bit crocodile, alligator they are racing unknown to themselves only later on and come back. And this is why it's so alarming. Now, the election is ahead. It's not our job to say, don't do this. Our job is to open the door. The door we open it is the kind of conversations, the way we put it out. You can make an informed decision as an adult or grown person. Yeah. What can we do? What else do we need to do? Or what else do we need to constitute or put in place that even people will give us a ear? Because we have a situation nowadays, gentlemen, if you don't cost the president, if you don't even cost the opposition, or if you don't ask like some kind of cuckoo hair, people don't pay attention. So as the result, these people who have come up with this make-up news, they don't verify news, they don't have no source, or they do sources. So you use that for one or two instances, but from start to finish, from 1 hour, 2 hours, sources, and you can't even give a reference to the public, to the audience, but you maintain that you are giving them information. And people dwell on that and they run with it, and it goes explosive. That itself is dangerous for the society, and not just only for the society, for us as people, as a consumption, because they take that and run with it. This election, I like prevention is better than cure because we are not used to manage crisis. So I don't like us to create crisis that we know actually we cannot manage. What do we need to do coming these elections? And you guys, everybody hit the call button of this whole conversation here. That probably it's our brothers and sisters. I will listen. And indeed, it boils down to leadership. Certain people want to be exempted from they want to give way to the rules. The rule is not applicable to them. It should not be enforced to them. And that is unacceptable. You see here, former leaders said they are even testifying today. They are calling them today. But those things do not necessarily Liberia, but in most third world countries, we don't see that happening.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Samson told communicating with his man, so I don't know. Try to make it, but still it's not working. Go ahead.
Firstly, let me register that, and thanks to Sisi for the emphasis on it and Dwalu. Other Liberians, the caller spoke about stop supporting bad things, yet trying to send money to Liberia to correct them. So you were speaking to diaspora Liberians. So I would think that he needs to qualify what he call bad things. If supporting Liberians to speak out to their leaders is one of the things that he call bad things, then I think he needs to go research it better. Because Liberians will always do it. If bad thing for me soliciting funding to come and wish word in our country, then I will, that is something. And that is what I want to say to that caller. And those who say that people in the diaspora want to put power in Liberia, people in the diaspora are hated for no reason. They live on no taxes in Liberia, as Sisi said. They take their taxpayer money for years, send it back home to intervene in the crisis that is going on in our country. So we should hail them. If many of them are come and deceive us, it doesn't mean that the rest of them will do that. Not because of bad dream, you'll not go to sleep. You still forget and you close your eyes. So let us learn to evaluate person by person. On to your question about what do we do? And I listened to Mr. Maulo and others. I think everybody made some of a point. What I think we can do, and many countries have been doing it and developing over a period of time, is to recognize our defects. Our defects have been electing and giving leadership to people who should be led. Instead of you giving leadership to someone who will lead you, we take leadership and give it to those who we need to lead. When you do that, you already have filled, the glass is already filled. You cannot add more liquid or water into that mug because it's already filled. And so we have people who first experience from university straight is to become lawmaker. That person does not even have an apartment. He has done nothing. He just stay on University of Liberia campus or my own University AME campus. He fluent in the English language. He can criticize everything except that he cannot make a suggestion as to how to fix one. And you make that person your lawmaker. It's one of the problems. And we expect best out of them. And we think we're healing them when lawmakers' position are people who have been in different sectors and are retiring at this particular level and trying to add leadership onto the country. Then you have the rule of law, which is the judiciary. When it is not strengthened and reinforced, we'll have problems. Then you have a stronger civil society and independent media. Every country that these three things exist in and operating at the same wavelength.
Janitor.
It will, yeah.
Janitor. We have teachers and professionals here, so we're not going to do it. When you say independent media, there are ordinary Liberians, there are other people there. So let's put it into context. What constitutes, what are the qualities you are talking about of an independent media? All of them might see it differently, but let's go through your criteria. What sort of independent media?
So for example, for example, to be very realistic with you, we don't have a strong civil society. Just before I come to the media, a strong civil society in a country will stand up and the government will know that they have stood up. In other countries like Nigeria, when the labor union decides to stand up, you know that the country is on a rocket boat and the government will have to take action. When I talk about independent media, I know that there are some other independent media in the country, out of the country, but I can assure you that most of our media have been bamboozled, like Mr. Stowe must say, by political operatives. Most of the time, ruling establishment, and few with some other stronger opposition elements. That is sincerely the fact, you know. But it is not just about them being bamboozled, it's the fact that they are unable to face these individuals with some of the tough questions. I must give some of you credit, both, on online platform, and it comes from the background that you are resourceful, you are stronger economically. You will find very few individuals back home that the media institution are stronger, the likes of Front Page Africa that will be able to pay their staffer better, the likes of Daily Observer. I mean, to be very honest with you, that you see a whole structure and organized system. But many of the media institutions, you know, without disrespecting them, they are going through some challenges. What's to that challenge is that the government is owning some of the media institutions more than anybody think in the country. I must admit to you, check Ministry of Information. They are owing the people thousands of United States dollars. And it is creating hiccups for their operation. And because they owe them, and they must be paid at their will and at the will and caprice of the government, at the end of the day, they pay you when you write good news about them. That's the situation that we are faced with. All the facets must be filled up, including those we elect as president. This is a testing moment for all of us. This is a rally point, and at the conclusion, when we do that, these individuals will be accountable to us. Anything other than that will be in a neutral gear, not moving forward.
Okay, Liberal, we're going to put ourselves under the microscope here as well, as we try to hold other stake actors, national leaders accountable. We're going to hold ourselves accountable yet all of us here in the media industries involved in news content sharing, having these national conversation, people take away, people learn a lot. They share their own ideas with us, but they count on us because we choose to do what we are doing. Jonathan, you did hear him saying independent media. Let me bring you in here. And I'm wondering, analysts, contributors, when you have a pig and say, this is my side, is there still an independent? When it should be like an open bar for people to see what you're saying, because I don't care how you say A, how you do A, you already have a political side. So whatever you say, people will always it's going to be scrutinized. Is that a fair view?
Mr. So, I am planning to go to Liberia within the next 2-3 weeks. As a member of Liberian Public Radio, I'm going over there with the intent of corruption at the back of my mind. I'm going to take people money, the big shot, then they will pay me, so I will write for them, so I speak for them. Mr. So, look, on a very serious note.
So, yeah, hold on 1 second. Now, I told you this is 2023. We will not allow some careless statement comments in as much. You want to be a entertainer here. You go in there to take people money, liberal, to write for them?
Mr. So, I said on a very serious note. That's what I just told you. You can't wrap it around my neck. You know me. I mean, I'm not. Even if I were going to go corrupt, that I money are taking, that people money are taking before they can't get there with me. I went corrupt if I Steve said and build housing grant you that I'm something good. I beg you, man. Don't get to me.
No, you and the pocket pile and then the same place.
Don't do it. They will call for sanction too. So let's see who gonna do business with you.
No. On a very serious note, Mr. So,
man, I don't know how to manage this guy.
Sometimes, Mr. So, sometimes I feel bad, not for me per se, but for these young Liberians. It's so difficult for many of them. For example, they come in this place with a mindset because they were in Liberia and they've been reading about America and they plan some of the things they will do when they get here. First thing, most of them on their list is to educate myself. And the thing is, they will say, many of them, I'm just thinking out loud, I'm going to educate myself and I will work and make money for my family. First thing they say, I will build my mom house from America. They come over here and then for sure they educate themselves. And then they start working, making money. But the fact that they are connected to Liberia and they see the mess that is happening in Liberia and they see themselves here and they say, if they're working for the big company and they're saying to themselves, I'm truthful, I'm faithful to these people, I'm making them money. I can do the same thing in Liberia. But no opportunity, Mr. So. No opportunity. Sadly, Mr. So, the thing that it just happened a few years ago. Immediately after the transitional government, the people that came in to be your representative, your senator at the time, they were just as broke as church rock. Many of the broke people did not want to go and be senator. They didn't want to go and be representative. Every one of them, they wanted to be president of the Republic of Liberia. That was the beginning of the failure and the suffering we're having today. Because many of these people that were trained here in the United States, if they are gone in and said, look, I will start, let all of us put together and go to the House of Representatives and lay out structure for the future. Go into the Senate and lay out structure for the future. You got people in the representative that don't even know what it means by putting a bill, let alone making law. But they're collecting money. And worst of all, what did they do? They decide to raise their salary by just putting together and say, we'll make law, we'll pass the budget, raise their salary. Can you go back now and say, I want you to make the same amount of money you are making in 2005? It ain't happening. These people, they are rich right now. They got money. So if you leave from here and you know how to make the law, you know how to improve the situation, but you want to go into the House of Representatives, you got fasting. You got money to challenge those people? Even if you're rich and come here, people giving you money. They got more money over there for themselves to put, and just like Sese or Janada was saying, these young people, they're educated. They don't want to do anything. All they want to do, they want to write. They give them money to stop manipulating the system that you coming from here, they consider you stranger, even though you're speaking the same dialect. You and then speaking the real colloquial English, but they say you're stranger. You can't get in. These people are controlling the system. And the only way is for us to pray that someone will be elected president who will start throwing people in jail and start bringing people to book. How did you get your money? We want to know. And when you start doing 2 or 3 people like that, the young people here, hey, it's so sad. You got people here in this country, Liberians, highly educated. You just heard Dualo right now. You think if Dualo have the opportunity to go serve in Liberia and serving in the House of Representatives and meet people like say over there in the House of Representatives, they might not agree on policy, but they will make sure that they do something because they themselves are watched how this country is moving forward. They will do whatever it takes to make sure structure is put in place for the future. This is what we don't have. Henry Toba, the one from Bon County, they call him Henry Toba. You know the real name? John Toba. I said so. Say something to say. Not only was he and myself, when I was growing up, he was just leaving the house I was going to stay in. Then he came and started working at the Ministry of Education. 1970, 74, 75, 76, when Dr. Bole came, Dr. Bole brought Henry Toba, John Toba in his department. So but why is it now that Henry Toba, Dr. Henry Toba, is not fighting for the people, and now he bringing these kinds of stuff up? Where was he? He's not a conquer man. We know each other. Why are we not fighting for each other for us to get to a position for the young Liberian behind us and give them this thing so they can run with it? Other than that, we're going to be here for a while, Mr. So.
Okay. Emon Josh.
Yeah. Look, Dr. Henry Toba, when he became president, he told the people, say, for poor children. Huh?
He said what? What happened to Cottington?
When Henry Toba became president of Cottington, he told the people that Cottington was not for poor children. That man.
But did he lie?
Oh, he was fair.
That's the point. The man was telling you the analysis of the cost of tuition.
Yeah, but you know what's happening? And so there's a long story. If you ask the people how much scholarship that Cottington do give the citizen of that country, because that land was given to them free on the basis to establish that institute to help the people. But that's a long story.
Wait a minute now. I don't know.
But you can't hold that to talk about to that because that is a parochial school. That's a church that you got a board that determines that scholarship. So that's not that the talk as the president. That's not how universities run. It is determined by the board of trustees.
I know.
So why you want to anything that to talk about next?
Unless maybe by saying that it was saying in a very demeaning faction or some kind of way, but you don't get money, there are certain schools. Those days, I went to Tottenham. I never wanted to go to St. Patrick's. Who say I didn't want to? I never wanted to go to yes, you have to get the finances to go there.
That's true. But when you're speaking to your people, in the context where he spoke to the people, that's what they're talking about. Okay? That they're talking about. It was not that he was speaking to say, oh, this was, it was something that went on. And when the people approached him, That was the response he told the people, instead of explaining to the people, this is what's happening. But it was like talking smart to them. It was not that he was speaking because the university got a trustee, they have a board, there's a policy said no. It was not that. He was talking smart to them. But let me go back. The media situation. I think that independent media, to me, it should be free of government influence and corporate influence. That's what make it independent. But do we find that here? No. All the big media guru here, they got some connection. Everybody, all the media houses, the big media houses, got some connection, people in government. So when people say the media should be free of, it should be free, I mean, media should be independent, then I wonder what is the yardstick are they using? Because if you want to compare America, then it's not free because it's not independent, because the New York Times got their own people. The Washington Post got the people the rifle. The CNN got their own people. So it cannot be to say independent, to use that word. I don't know where we'll find it. Liberia situation is almost similar. People in certain media houses in Liberia, the program are influenced by government, by some people in government, by some people in the business quarter. Something happened today, someone will write about this company, that the company is doing very well. But if you go to look deeper, you find some problem and you start scratching your head. So it's the same thing here and it's the same thing back in Liberia. The difference is Liberia, our journalists, our brothers and very cool. So sometimes we try to, that's the situation over. It just that some people, the year will be objective at certain time to say, hey, I cannot compromise this thing here. I have to put this story up. So it's all over. But I think what we need to do or continue to do is to highlight these stories, to continue to talk about what is affecting the society. Because I always say, the moment we become silent, it means that the corrupt people have won. But the moment we talk, people tend to start listening to us. Some will disagree, but you see, sometimes people call from Liberia when they're talking. They say, oh, this thing, because of what they're seeing. But to be honest and continue to have this civil conversation, what is affecting Liberia is affecting all of us. And if we have leaders who are not doing it right, we should call them. Let us take ourselves off it. Let's put the friendship one side. Let's put the travel thing one side and say, look, this one is not right. I think if we continue that path, it will take our time, we will change.
All right. Sese.
Yeah.
Let me hear from you. I see some little red line there. You already finished drawing.
Oh no, I was just trying to push back against Pat George's narrative about Dr. Henry Tokwa, because we're still speaking on that same thing. Everybody tends to frame a conversation in a certain narrative, right? Cottington University College, and by the way, the liberal, that scenario you lay out, I'm one of those people. I went to USIS everyday library to apply to universities to come to the US. When I finally got here, the first thing I looked for was a university. And I had a mindset I was going to get all of the education that I could get. I was going to build a house for my mom, which I did before she passed. And I was going to make money. And the last part I didn't do. I haven't made the money yet. Because I thought I was going to be an engineer. And
you're not making money?
I was going to make like the money, but I did engineering, but I didn't like it. So I'm doing what I love, which is teaching. But having said that, when I was at Texas Tech doing my undergrad, I was taking student loans and paying my brother's tuition at Cottington. I remember the first tuition I paid for him. I was majoring in electrical engineering and computer science. I sold my personal computer. I took it to the pawn shop to get money to pay the first tuition at Cottington. So Cottington has been expensive. It's never been for the poor people. That is one of the reasons, and this is just an aside, I'm a Lutheran. When LTI people talking about, oh, we need to raise money, the church needs to raise money from the church people to build LTI. I said, LTI was never for me. And there was not any Gilroba like me and Flomo and Yoba going to LTI. It was for elites. So why are you coming to me now to give you money to raise money for LTI? LTI was not for
no way. No.
The same way with Cottington. But back to the media piece. I think what we more often, and by the way, I got my brother reminding me here, so let me say this before I get in trouble. To our listening audience, today is the birthday of my queen. We have a birthday going on. He said, my man, today a web birthday here talking politics. I see, I don't be trouble.
What birthday?
Yeah, today my web birthday. So,
I saw it, but I saw it posted by Ari.
so
today's my
you all lying and you web birthday. I said, don't be trouble with my heart. So anyway, this is commitment though. I love the group here and I love our audience. So I usually try to come on. But on the issue of the media, seriously, I think we are confusing independence with transparency. Because like Mr. George was saying, the Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch and the Fox conglomerate, and you got the New York, Times and the New Yorker and the Post and all of these ones, right? They have corporate ownership. They, in that sense, are not independent, but are they transparent, right? And I think that is the bigger conversation, and because transparency is that we are not defending our own criminals. And you ask the question, how do we hold ourselves accountable even on this network? It's to not defend our own criminals. If I have a friend that I have a close relationship with or a family member, and I see that they are in the news for having done something bad, trust me, the thing I would do would be to not appear that night and let you all have the conversation, to remove myself. Because it's really difficult to sit on a platform and hear people tearing into somebody that you love, right? Without you trying to have that, I'm going to try to defend it. But then when you try to defend it, that takes away your transparency. Because I come here and yell at Louis Brown every day and yell at the ANC every day about they not, living up to what they're saying. And then when my guy, Gonglo, or the LPP does the same thing, and I don't have the guts to call them out, or I come here and try to sugarcoat it, then that takes away my transparency. And then that makes me lose value in the eyes of the people who take their time to come here and listen to us. And I think if you really respect your audience, you will try your best to be transparent, because that means you respect their intellect and you're going to put everything down on the table, put all your cards down on the table. To the extent that you think you will be biased, then you remove yourself. But news organizations that are not transparent, that are bought and stories are bought and sold on their own stock markets, do not respect their audience or their consumers. Because that's how I see it. Because if you respect me as a consumer, the 700 plus 800, 1,000 people that come here religiously every day when they see LPR come up, they come here to make sure that they know that they will hear the facts from the laborer. I don't, the laborer will joke around. He will, he got his trademark stuff, but he won't put the facts on the table. And Mr. So they expect you to be able to push back on us and try to play the devil's advocate every time and not take a side. And they will expect my brother Jonathan, from time to time, because he's Assistant Secretary General, to frame things in the party line, but also be truthful and fair. Pa George will fire from all angles, right? So they're expecting that. The day we come here and that changes, then we have the lady in Australia, Linda, who's up this late. Mawolo, who's in Liberia, who's buying data to be up this late. Then we've just disrespected them. We've just insulted them. So for me, I think that is the lesson Liberian press has not taken, is that yes, you can have people paying your salary, they can own the media because people have to own it, or maybe you're selling shares, but are you transparent? And I think that's where, for me, that's where I'm focused. And I think Linda said something I'll be remiss if I don't highlight that. The issue of how we move forward with governance in Liberia. There is no civilized country on earth that can stop fringe people from getting elected. It's not possible. Because elections is about, do I like this person? Do they play to my mind? Yeah, I'm going to vote for them. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a representative here. Donald Trump was a president here. Herschel Walker He almost became senator for Mr. George. That man defeated very credible people in
like this.
the primary, right? So
it was like this.
The problem, I think the problem is that we can try our best to have a civically educated voting population. And the way to do that is to require Liberian civics, Liberian history to be core classes along with math and science to be taught throughout school from kindergarten to 12th grade. And there should be a portion of the national graduation requirement, an exam that you take civics to graduate. If you can't pass civics as a
civics and things, why
graduate,
even removed from the curriculum?
It got removed because
I don't know. I think I did service. But I don't know. The Minister of Education just came. I don't know where it came from.
And to the point here is, and I keep pushing this, and these are some of the places where we have this conversation with people who are running education in Liberia. You have to make sure that your population is educated, and the way you judge that education is that can they function in your society? Is the first piece. Can they function to improve your society? Can they function globally? We always have to first be for ourselves and then globally. And that's the reason you learn American history here in school. You're not forced to take American history, American civics here in school, in high school. You have to do it. Because the idea is, it is in history that you have the politics of building patriotism. You got these stories, and the stories are picked. American history, the books are replete with propaganda. They make these children feel good about the USA, USA. They build that up in it so that you love your country. And so that you are able and willing to put country above you because you've learned that. You have been gradually indoctrinated into it. But we don't do that. We try to take a West African examination, so we have to teach the whole West African history equally, which creates a problem. And even if we're teaching Liberian history, we don't even test on it to be focused on it. And the same thing with civics, because if you have people, today I had 4 schools, high schools, were doing a civics competition in my school building. They came there, they were doing a political science class, talking about civics and government, and they were looking at campaigns, flyers, and propaganda. And one of my campaign flyers, or what they were looking at, were analyzing it from 5 high schools in the Twin Cities here. The students are learning what is the role of the city mayor, what is the role of the city council, where can you go to find the minutes and of the meetings of the city council? Is it supposed to be open to public or not? What is the role of the police department? Who controls the police department in the city? Is it the mayor, or is the city council jointly? They're learning out of that, and they're learning what is the role of a representative? What is the role of a county commissioner? What is the role of the governor? And so when somebody is running for school board, what is their role? If a school board candidate comes and tell you, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and change the curriculum, you go, well, no, that's not your place, right? Because you understand what it is. If a senator comes and tell you, say, I'll give you 3 scholarships and I'll build a high school, you know that's not their place. So you know that person don't know what they're talking about. But if I, as a citizen, don't know that, then anytime Dick and Harry can come tell me, say, when you elect me, I will build a road, without telling me that I will lobby to have it in budget so that roads can be here, so that funding can come to the hospital. They say, I will build you a hospital. All right? Because we have done wrong by our population. We've done wrong by ours. And that's why I don't like when people blame the young people for the way they vote. We have not educated them. So how?
Okay, I got a caller. I got a man here, Keto here. Let's hear from you, and then we'll come back to the panelists in their closing argument here. But I will, let's do that real quick. Keto, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sorry. You know, I don't even look in the phone face here, and I literally forgot. Okay, so let's hear from you.
I just came back to, because my brother, Jonathan, wanted me to clarify when I said bad things. You know, people do bad things here, and also speak to my brother Cisse on the Yola issue. So this the thing, brother Jonathan, and my big brother Samson Toe is my witness, because he the one who put that stuff out there, even though I knew it too.
Okay.
Liberians in the diaspora, especially our mother organization. That's why people are afraid to talk. They shy away from it. Yola has used their platform to stabilize our country, Liberia. The past Yola. And when you talk to the present Yola leadership, will tell you, yeah, that was the past Yola. And that's a fact. Taylor was part of Yola. Ellen Johnson was part of Yola. The one that died in Philadelphia were part of Yola. All those people were part of Yola, and they testify to doing what they did. Samson told one of the program said there was a convention here in Philadelphia. A group of Liberians that came from Georgia. Their sole purpose was to go down there and discuss the overthrowing of President Samuel Kenyon Doe. There was a man that came from Rhode Island that opposed to that. They asked the man to leave the hall because the discussion was not on something else, but to discuss the overthrow of Samuel Doe. 3 months after, Liberia to overthrow Doe. And who suffered it? The common people. The common people suffer it. We must say the facts to our people so that we cannot go back to the dark days. We can use our influence in America, even though our organization is for advocating for our people, but we shouldn't advocate for regime change to damage the lives of our people. At the same time, we can look, there's so many things we can do in this place here to make our country different. Don't forget, our people advocate here, our leaders advocate here, and the next thing they do, they find themselves in Liberia as ministers or director, and even in the Senate. What they do there is to corrupt the same people they're seeking to advocate for. Yeah.
Okay.
Worse. Can I push back? Mr. So, can I push back a little bit, because I don't think my brother is playing with a full deck of understanding of EULA. The first problem is when you get to a convention, EULA convention, you already have before you even get to the convention, they've already sent you what are going to be the discussion in plenary and what are going to be the discussion at their working session. They have an agenda. So when other people get there and you stay on sideline and you must have a conversation and say, "I'm let you, we are government," and you must have going back and forth, does that mean there's EULA discussing that? You cannot show me anywhere. And I will tell you this, all of EULA conventions, they have documents for what the agenda item was to be discussed. You cannot find anywhere where the agenda to be discussed at EULA officially was the overthrow of the government. Number two, to say that because Charles Taylor came from EULA, Tom Woyu came from EULA, and other people were in EULA, Deacon Carter was in EULA, therefore it was EULA that overthrew government in that brought war in Liberia. It's just wrong, because these same people were in EULA when they went to when they were pushing against the late President Tober. I remember that Charles Taylor was on the ground in Liberia in 1979 to agitate against President Tober. So do we say it was EULA also that executed Tober? So my thing here is, I'm on this show right now. We're all on this show. So say, God forbid, Jonathan and Amos Job got the two ANC people that are accusing, say they brought going in Liberia. The two of them go and start war in Liberia. Should we say that it's LPR that started war in Liberia? I think that is very far-fetched. I do get it that we should not advocate for wars in Liberia, but my brother, I'm begging you, I need you to take the time. Since you say you're already on EULA, you are one of the on the board, take the time and look at the workings of EULA and look at the history of EULA.
Okay, all right, guys. Thank you so much.
It's about 20,000.
Hold on. Let's have stuff here. We'll try to keep time. This is 2023. We'll try, even if we start late, some kind of way we'll squeeze to make up the time. We are about to go home this evening. And Sissy, I think he spoke here. And maybe we're going to get this train to derail here before we leave. I hope it's a good counsel here for the laborer. Jonathan, the laborer came out on this network without no fear, without no favor, celebrated. He was cheering out Fanatic Kofa because he is his friend, to the extent a phone call was placed of something that is not even existing. That group is a fake group, is non-existing. You can't tell me there's no website, nothing. No, If we do those kind of things, then of course people will be going home with their hair scratching. Or black people, oh, they will get the investigation to government. When we do those kind of things, then of course, then they will begin to have a second thought. Wait a minute, what sort of network is this? Who are those panelists? And our responsibility is to hold our own feet to the fire, no matter what our political solidarity support to them, because that will strengthen them in making some strong decision. But when we begin to justify and give tons and endless excuses, okay, this happened when we were doing that time, you're not doing that one year on top, that's the one that I can't just take, because it's still laying the pyramid of us doing bad things and our inability to speak to those issues. Guys, the clock, the old man on the wall. Liberal, do you want to say something? About the time is Walter is after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I just want to say, like I said, I've been around. I know back in 1985, the war, immediately after the election, Kuomwaku, I was in Rhode Island, and St. Cully, Sir Johnny, they're still in Rhode Island. St. Cully was the president of Rhode Island Liberian community. Sir Johnny and myself, we drove from Rhode Island to Philadelphia for the convention. And at the convention, there were so many things that were stated, but one of the main goals of the convention was that no matter what, Doe must be overthrown by all means necessary, including armed struggle. I was in the hall. At first, I don't want to say, there's something here I'm not going to say. But at first...
What was there a floor resolution that was voted on?
Yes.
Okay. And how did they, how was the...
At first, there were people who were suggesting that perhaps they need to first consult United Nations, United States, and everybody else. But there was this specific group that came from Atlanta, Georgia, that I do remember very vividly. And they were able, in fact, at that convention, Tom Wowoyu, who was then president, played a cassette tape. At that time, they didn't have the CDC, it was a cassette tape, a boom box like this. Put on the floor, put the tape in there, where Doe were talking about Madame Salih. Said that, oh, that other real woman, I got to get her out of the jail, but people thought that I was my girlfriend, but I don't have anything with her. I don't got anything to do with her. I remember that very well. And those groups that came from Atlanta, the reason why, a funny thing, the hall that they rented was my cousin who was a DJ, one of the best DJs in Philadelphia at the time, was his hall. But anyhow, the point here is this. I didn't believe that. And many of us that were in the hall didn't believe that that's what they were going to do. In fact, I made a statement. And the reason why I was even recognized, even though they knew I was crown man, but my position was door. And so they wanted me to say something. So when I got up, and God is my witness, I stated this, that while you might say you want to get rid of Doe by all means necessary, if armed struggle or whatever you want to do, Doe also have people. You go down there, he's going to resist. And what's going to happen? And then I said, many of you here right now in this hall, Sir Johnny, Sam Colley, they still living in Rhode Island. They can attest to that. I said, many of you here right now know very well what happened to me. And I'm not somebody here to come and support or try to please Doe. No. But one thing I do know, when you're ready tomorrow to attack Grand Jide, you're not going to tell the people in total, y'all, excuse me, we're going to Tuzon, or y'all get one side. That it's not going to happen. So I'm not going to fool myself to sit here and support that. But of course, we're in minority. And when the vote happened, they carry the day. However, let me make this point clear. However, the vote after the vote, then they said that, okay, the vote is done. We have to put it down. Tom, what will you say? We will have an executive meeting, and then we can come out with the position statement.
So can I get something clear? So it is your contention that at the convention, at the General Assembly, there was a floor vote for you not to endorse the overthrow of President.
If it was a vote, I'm not saying what I did. There was a vote. There was a vote. Listen again.
I just want to understand because I want to go to ULA document because I got access to ULA archive. I want to understand.
Do you have, if you have access to the one that was chaired by Tom Woyu?
Yeah, they do have the archive. I'm telling you, I'm the Assistant Secretary General.
Okay, if you have it, go in there and look. And if you look in there, I'm going to call some names now. If you look in there, there was a guy, a crown guy, one of my sister. You know what? I'm going to stay away from these kinds of conversation. It's not helping me. It's not helping me at all because there are certain things here that you know, if I'm not careful, I will say some things here that would not be conducive. I've gone through this process before. I've gone through this. I went even in my own Jide community where there was a huge outroar about some paper that I wrote back in 2006. I don't want to go through that again. The war is over, but let us just make sure that what we do know these things. When we left from ULA, we went back. When I left from ULA, after some time, I went back to Ohio. A friend of mine, Tony Askew, and the rest of the group, they were selling T-shirts. And in front of the T-shirt, they have their Free Liberia. In the back of it, they have ULA emblem on it. So look, Sese, I know you are a very intelligent person, but don't challenge me on these kinds of stuff.
I wasn't challenging you.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that my life here in the United States, when I came back, hold on, Sese, hold on 1 minute. When I came back, the second time here in the United States, things were very different than when I got back here. People they like a DK Wansley and myself stayed together for some time. So okay. I look, enough. I don't want to go through
that. You made an assertion, and I asked you for clarity so I can be able to check it and know that if it is a fact, it's the fact.
Okay, go and check it out. Go and check it.
To say that I should not challenge you, that is misunderstanding my point. I asked you a question. I said, was there a floor vote in assembly for the overthrow of
No. There was a vote. There was a vote. Listen to me. There was a vote. Let me say that again. There was a vote. There were people. The specific group came from Atlanta, Georgia. There was
the vote was in the assembly
at the hall. At the hall, and they were suggesting at first that no matter what, they want to the door must come down, whether by armed insurgent or whatever group they have.
I get that. I'm just asking you.
Listen. Then it was called on the floor as to whether those who are in favor of the group of people from Atlanta making this statement of overthrowing Dole, because there were other people who were suggesting, who also have on the floor, that we have to go through the channel of contacting the United States, including the UN. And these groups said they were not going to do it. So there was yes, I said so.
I'm just asking you for information.
Go look it up.
That's what I want. I just asking for information.
Okay. But if you do, then you have to come back to us, all of those that were present at the convention. And I hope you'll be able to find my name in there. Because if you come back and say this was not there and you don't give us the name of those who were present, then you're not doing us a favor.
You have not given me the information I asked you. You're muddling the water. My question to you, and you have not answered that because you're being specifically vague on that. My question to you is, was there a floor vote at the convention to overthrow the president that passed?
I just told you.
You said
he said yes.
I just told you, Sese, the group, let me repeat myself
again. You see the point? I just need a yes or no.
No.
Was there a floor vote?
You think I'm going to give you a yes or no?
Yeah, what happens?
No.
What happened? What I try to sense out here, I've been in EULA. I conducted 2 elections. One of our own professors, Zalod, Maryland, and one of the other elections just now. I see the questions Sese is coming with, and I see the positions Heed Liberal is coming with. Okay. More or less, EULA is a branch of different groups.
What is the higher decision-making body in EULA?
When we live in Rhode Island has its own agenda, maybe they want to push. From what I try to sense out what Liberal is saying here, he being specific here, is this group, not necessarily all of the branches maybe that were attending that particular convention, but this group that came from Atlanta, Georgia, they were pushing that, correct? Liberal.
Yes. And they prevailed. They prevailed. They won. They won it. Yes. Let me say this again. So say you can go and do your research, but when you come back, you have to tell us all of those that were present.
You're not giving me anything to do research on. You haven't answered my question.
Okay.
You are muddling the water. You haven't and you know you've been to conventions. No convention you go to that will go ahead and archive conversation that's happening on the sidelines. And that's why I ask you the question.
It wasn't conversation that was happening on the sidelines. Let me say this again. Listen clearly. Listen clearly. And listen to me. Let me just say this again. Because first of all, the people name I'm not going to call here. I will not get myself excited and start calling names. But let me just tell you this. At the convention, 1985 Philadelphia Convention, EULA, Tom Wowoyu being the president. At the convention, they came out while we were in a hall. First of all,
that was the assembly hall you're talking about?
It was a hall. It was a
no. What I mean, that was
EULA convention.
But you got an assembly that you go to where business is handled, where people vote on things, and then you got a hall which is different. So I'm asking because I want to be able to do my research. Just I'm asking the question, but you're getting your feelings. I'm just asking simple questions for information.
The only thing I know. There was only one convention and there was only one event.
I just asking question to get
information. But let me explain now. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you.
No.
You know what? I'm going to call names. You know what? I don't care anymore. I will tell you.
I didn't challenge.
Now listen to me.
Information that will help me.
Hold on one second. I think we can't be in noise like this.
He doesn't want to listen. He doesn't want to listen. He want to be
asking a question. You didn't answer.
This is where sometimes this is where you and myself can always divide a house. Look, this is not a society bullshit. When things happen, it happened in the past. I understand, and that's what history is all about. And we got to have these conversations to avoid these sort of destructions that we. Whether unknowingly or knowingly or because of whatever reason, there is a pattern. In as much there was a bad behavior, bad things, but it doesn't warrant for people. And those are some of the stupid and careless comments we still see coming from some of the same politicians today. We will fight. We will do this. See what is happening now. Guns are coming now. We don't know.
Let me take my time on this because I think I made a show here before and the records are there. Give me at least 5-10 minutes of your time, please. Say listen again. Listen again.
We gotta go, man.
You want to go? Okay.
No, when you said 10 minutes.
Yeah, but my son, we're going to come in small.
But Mr. Token, go there.
Go ahead. I don't like too much of secreting.
Yes.
I don't like
I just want to answer one question and say it before you can answer it. What is the highest decision-making body in EULA? Is it the General Assembly?
The General Assembly.
Every convention is General Assembly.
Okay.
General Assembly.
So let me say this again. We left Rhode Island around about maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. We drove all the way. There were 3 of us. Sir Johnny, he's in Rhode Island right now, a Gizzy guy. And Sam Colley, who is also from Lofa County. He's in Rhode Island still. He was once the president of Rhode Island community, Liberian community. We went to and the reason they took me, which I'm not going to give you right now, but anyway, we went to Philadelphia for the convention. At the convention, when the convention started, we all were sitting down. And they decided that one of the main reasons they're here today, according to Tom Wowoyu, who was sitting in front of the in front of the table, the reason why today is first to see how best EULA can try to resolve the situation in Liberia, where Doe is claiming that he won the election, and he didn't. Okay. So, first thing first, he decided to play the tape of Doe recording. And those that were there, they will remember that. After the recording was played, people stood up that as far as EULA is concerned, EULA must do everything in their power to make sure Doe is overthrown, that Doe is removed, whether by iron struggle or what have you. The group from Atlanta.
So, okay, group from Atlanta. I don't intend to make it like an interview. Was that the business session? All these things were taking place.
Mr. So, remember that in 1985, I was not in a position to say what we're doing here, what kind of business section. I know it was EULA convention. I don't know that. All I know, it was EULA convention that we went to. That's it. All I know is EULA convention we went to. Whether they have a committee said, that wasn't my concern. It was a group that was in there, EULA convention. So that's all that I know. After the group came from Atlanta, there was a specific guy that I remember, has a haircut just like Patrick Lumumba. The reason why I remember that, because I know Patrick Lumumba's struggle, and I remember his picture. The guy's style was like something else. He stood up and said that no matter what, Doe will not remain in power. We will force him out, and if he doesn't leave the country, he's going to regret it. That was the first statement. Then they started going around the room. Many of the people from the Atlanta, they keep repeating that. So when they got to me, I make my statement that when they're ready to go and talking about removing Doe by armed struggle, why you think I make that statement? By removing Doe by armed struggle, when they're ready to go to Grand Jide, they're not going to tell the people of Town, excuse me, because we and Doe have issues. They're not going to say that. Everyone in Town will be enemies because we're from Grand Jide. Okay. After that was done, when we all was done talking, Tom Wowoyu asked, and I do remember this, he asked that having heard all of the statement on the floor, what are we taking out of here? So again, the representative from Atlanta made a motion. And before the motion was made, there was a guy, a crown guy. I'm not going to call his name now because I think I called his name before. King was coming into the hall, but they accused the people from Atlanta, accused him of being so Doe security, and that he must not enter. So they stood to the door, and they said, after they put the thing on the floor, some member of the group that were not with them said there will not be any kind of vote until this man enter. They refused for him to enter. So they say, okay, then Tom Wo, you said, the people, how are you going to vote when a member is not allowed to enter? They allow him to enter, and the vote went on. And of course, they were in majority, and they won the vote. Go do your research.
Can I wait, Jonathan? I'll get you a chance to come in. Can I just say 1 minute? Just give me 1 minute. I really don't understand how the Liberal is.
I won't help you. I won't help you.
Because the Liberal is unnecessarily taking this thing hard. Keta made a statement. He made an if-then statement that was not logical. My point to him was, because Tom Wo, you and certain people belong to this organization, you can't say that they did that. And I laid a point about LPR. And then he said, the Liberal said, I didn't come to the Liberal said it happened. Okay, just tell me when it happened so I can be able to search it. And if that's a fact, we'll bring the facts out. So why are you offended? I don't understand that. I really don't get it.
It is, to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons. The other day, there was a conversation here that had to do with other past history. And I try to defer to you guys, and I try to remove myself from those comments. These are very painful situations for some of us.
The Liberal, we all live in like, bro. I lost my family at the.
That was the war. My situation was not a war.
We all went through this war.
That was a war. My situation was not a war.
Okay, guys.
The point here, the point that I'm making is that when the young man stated that,
let me come in.
The Liberal, all I asked for was information. Simple.
Okay, I just gave you all the information.
Yeah, but you didn't have to go all that I had and come back. All
okay, all right, you got the information.
It's simple.
You got the information. Go and read it. Go and find it out.
My no family member in the war, the Liberal.
Go and find it out, and then come back and tell us.
So yeah, I think it's is that something special you want to say it, Jonathan? You want to say something related to this?
Yes, not really related to it, but just in a 1 minute period, I think again, management was.
Okay, yeah, do that, and then I will bring the program to one. And I think we have gone over the.
First, let me say, political strategist and orchestration, it is not a day's time work. So if Eula knew that he wanted to mobilize people who would be on the same team in its leadership in order to transition their narrative to have an endorsement of a particular issue confronting Liberia, they have the ability to persuade people to sit in leadership role that can influence decision at a specific time. But this is on a condition that I'm making. I'm not saying it for a fact that they did it, but there's a possibility that you can orchestrate and strategize on long-term plan of that nature. I just like to say that our problem in Liberia has been about leadership, lack of leadership. We have not grown our citizens to have allegiance to country, to have patriotism, to be having national duty to the country. That in itself is a defect on how we hope our democracy will flourish. Today, our constitution has been violated grossly in the face of all of us. Article 10 says our constitution should be taught in every learning institution. I don't know as to whether they are teaching in Bo Kolima or whether they are teaching it in Pro and Bo in Grand Jida County or Pako in Grand Cook County, Great Kipma County. So it is a problem until we elevate how our people should learn their rights and the limitation of those rights. Definitely, all the politics we are speaking, we cannot bring our people to consciousness. We'll just be spinning our wheels in neutral gears, like I said previously.
Okay, guys, as usual, we always have this conversation, and sometimes it can be turns, agreement and disagreement, and that's the beauty of this network. We discuss a high call issue, and that's what history is all about: the past and the future. So now this brings me to the questions: what was this whole TROC? Was certain segment that was pick up to address the Liberian situation? I think all of these things, they are all the root causes. And anytime maybe we're having this conversation, it will pop up because we do not want these sort of behaviors In as much if we disagree with government, we must follow through a democratic process where we'll be able to persuade or be persuasive in our argument to say, hey, this leadership is unable, that this leadership cannot lead, this party, this ruling party is unfit, their policy X, Y, Z, and we can make a political interval changing by going through the process of a democratic process to elect both the first branch and the executive branch of government, those that are supposed to be elected. Well, guys, I think it was a good conversation. Sometimes we've got to take a reflection. And this is we all got to be watchful. What are in Liberia? Yet we are in a very fragile and volatile war. And that's why some of us have strong disagreement with politicians who make some careless statements because of emotions, anger. Oh, we will do this, this will happen. And when you see things happen, it brings a reflections of some of the bad days. And we hope and pray that in Liberia, anywhere where people are going to sit and be discussing those sort of issues, I think it must be reported. If you don't report it, you are a collaborator equally, because you witness this incident, you witness this conversation that is not in the interest, that has a propensity to destroy lives and property, and you didn't do anything. You also part of this process. But I think we have learned a lesson a lot. We're going to be having this conversation by God's willing tomorrow as well. Wednesday?
Yeah, tomorrow Wednesday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday. I want us to pick up this cluster time, but I'm waiting for the document. I don't like to have a conversation without having an extensive, review of the document. But the statement we're hearing, I listened to Sano Johnson on the other side, Snow on the other side, Sano Johnson, I'm like, because that's how politicians always like to do. But guys, I want to thank you so much for your time here this evening. Let's be back here. Hopefully the lady is going to be in the hall. I hear Mandela Cooper is on an extensive tour in some part of Liberia. Where I got a message, and upon her arrival, she will be appearing here on the Liberia Public Radio. Let's see what is happening.
I thought she was in India. She in Liberia?
Sister, you
India, the Western cluster people from India.
Yeah, just saying, I heard she was in India. Like, your question again.
No, I said in the same vein. I said the Western cluster people from
India.
Well, Mr. So I'm also working on hoping. I'm hoping, and I'm working on it to see if I can have a one-on-one interview here with the ANC political leader. I hope that I will be successful.
Part of the interview?
No, you cannot be. I'm not inviting anybody.
So that means Jay and Amos Josh can be at that.
They're not going to be part of the conversation as well.
But this guy and he and Jay, you calling this guy Jay. Your friendship really holding you.
But that's the always call me Jay.
Maybe the feeling you only one. Jay came to my play with Dren one was funny for a short time. I gave him a t-shirt, he left here, he went by business.
I'm saying.
I'm going to tell my sister have a brand new man.
The what now?
Okay.
I'm not even going to go into that kind of subject matter.
But Will, so
I'm going to invite Cummings. I'm going to invite Cummings Lpr. I'm going
to come. Good health.
When Cummings come on Lpr, I'm going to beg him to take me, and I will beg him to lead Liberia and hopefully help to save Liberia.
So you jump ship now?
I was not in the ship before.
Wow, this guy is unbelievable.
But so the message when I in shape before you, so Molina going forward.
You're not backing. You're backing now.
Who are begging before?
Oh, Mr. So yes, the man see his sister today. You listen to our interview today.
Good night. Bye.
So he ain't don't not be arguing no more this time.
DJ Square Production Classic. Don't wait. We are don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait till I die. Don't wait, yeah. Don't wait. Don't wait, my brother, don't wait. Don't wait. My sister, don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait till I need the hospital.
Well, guys, we want to thank you so much, Linda, from all the way out there. And our folks are from Liberia, and even you right here in the US. Sometimes it gets tense here, but we always have this sort of high call conversation. And when we end here, it's all done. So nobody keeps anything in mind. We are talking about a sovereign nation. So definitely there are going to be some rough edges, talking point when to come into it. And this is why we want to caution our people. These people who always talk about change, they don't talk about how to create an awareness for people to vote wisely and why they should vote for them. All of our leaders, politicians, radio hosts, advocates, they always have this war tone-like message. That's what happens. See, guns being discovered in the country is not good for the country. And I said that. Some of us work with different people, and our neighbors, they are sick and tired. People can't be keeping our peace. It's time for us to have this national conversation. If you see anything going wrong, not good, having conversation that is not in the interest of the country, it doesn't matter this government. Any other government, you need to report it. If you don't report it, it means you connive, you are a collaborator. Those are subversive activities. Those are serious crime if you are caught. And we must all have a responsibility to make sure that the right thing is done. This justifies the sons of the songwriter, don't wait. We are not good at managing crisis. So we here at LPR will do everything possible to prevent crisis because we are not good at managing it. And so we intend not to create a crisis. I am Afonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio. Thank you so much for your time. And by God's willing, same time, same network, hopefully our lady is going to be joining us here in another high court conversation. Until then, have a pleasant night, and we wish our country stays in peace. Let the Lord protect the world. Have a pleasant night. Bye-bye.
Don't wait. I'm dying, don't wait. I need your help, don't wait. Don't wait till I die. Please help me, don't wait. Don't wait. I need you help me now, don't wait. Don't wait till I die. Don't wait till I die before you help me. If you want to help me right.
We want to bring you this obituary announcement from our obituary photo of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. It is with profound sadness that we inform you the death of our beloved husband, father, brother, uncle, grandfather, and great-grandfather, Brigadier General Tawole G. Dennis, formerly of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Liberia, who passed away peacefully at his residence on November 22nd, 2022 in Worcester County, Massachusetts, USA. General Willard G. Dennis is survived by his wife, Mrs. Martha G. Dennis, 20 children, 54 grandchildren, 28 grandchildren, and several hosts of relatives and friends in the USA, Liberia, Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world. Waykeepings and funeral services of the late Brigadier General Willard G. Dennis will be held on the 20th and 21st of January 2023 at the AME Zion's Church on 55 Illinois Street, Worcester County, Massachusetts. Pa Willard G. Dennis wishes he be buried in his hometown of Boca Town in Grangeda County, Bazant District. This announcement was brought into Liberia Public Radio by Mrs. Martha G. Dennis, widow of the deceased, and Mr. P. Dennis, brothers of the deceased of the family.